Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Strange Normal. My name is Brad Burnham. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what's going on. And there's going to be a lot going on, so hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when things like this happen. Now, tonight's episode is very, very important. And so I've done the presentation twice from two different angles. This presentation is going to be done from an angle of Strange Normal, and the next episode is going to be on Little Light Studios. We're going to be talking about it from a slightly different angle because this is such an important topic and important information that we want to spread it to the biggest and widest audience as possible. Now, all this information was gathered from our Discord server. Our Discord server is a group chat and forum that we all submit ideas on the most important things that's happened this week in this line of thought. If you haven't been on the Discord server, you can become a part of that by going to patreon.com/strangenormal, becoming a Patreon member, and that will enable you to be a part of this Discord chat. And all the proceeds that come from Patreon go to advertising our documentary called Starfall on this channel. That documentary, I believe, is so vitally important for what's going on right now in your spiritual world, and everybody needs to know about it. If you think this is important, please consider contributing. Okay, now for the show, and I think I'm going to include things in here that I actually don't have on the docket tonight, but before I do, I want to have Aaron pop in here. How you doing, Aaron?
Hey, Brad.
Good to see you. Mikey's not going to be here tonight. He's busy, and in fact, he's very busy. He's doing a lot of work, even tonight and the next time he's going to be here. But
yeah,
but we can show up, and we can try to get this. I really miss when Mikey's not here because he really adds a lot of value to what's going on.
You miss when he's not here?
Yeah, Mikey. Yeah, he's not going to be here.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
No, you said I really miss when Mikey's not here.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I miss it. I wish he was here because then he would provide some value to the channel that was
yeah.
very good. But it's okay.
Yeah, I was bummed to find out Mikey's not going to be with us. So, Mikey, wherever you are, we love you, bro.
But the show must go on. You know, one thing I wanted to show tonight that I thought was very, very interesting. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Is I've been sent this information by so many different people, and I think it's relevant. So that's why I'm going to show it without even talking about it today. Let me pop this.
There we are.
Which one is it? Check this out. Am I on the wrong screen tab? Let me see here. You're going to see everything that I'm doing on my screen here. But can you see this, Aaron?
Yeah, I see a web page, Bryce.
Yeah, so this has been in many different programs, but Motherboard, who I guess was bought by Vice, Ukraine's robbers say there are tons of UFOs over Kyiv. And so, you know what, I wanted to go in and I wanted to kind of look and see legitimacy of this before I just put it on the channel here. And sure enough, there is on the Cornell University, you can see that up here, the logo, on their physics page or whatnot, they have a document called The Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Observing Events, and it's all about Kyiv, all about what's going on in there. I mean, it's actually a very short document. They're talking about what they've seen over there, and you can see that they've zoomed into some of these things. I'm going really fast over it, but I'll put this in the document show notes so you can get this because it's truly fascinating what they're finding, and they're basically telling you how to see these beings. And I'm saying beings because I truly believe that what we're seeing right now, I'm going to switch back to my scene here. What we're seeing right now is not just some aerial thing in the sky. We are seeing these demonic beings, and so I think they are coming out of the woodwork right now because something big's about to happen, and they want to tell the population something. I go into that in fuller detail in the documentary Starfall. If you haven't seen it yet, starfall.com, starfallmovie.com. Check it out, and let's go into our show. You ready?
Yeah. Hey, it looks like you have the, is that the Discord? up on your awesome background there.
Oh, am I still
I don't know,
sharing
that's
my?
your- Yep, that's your double screen.
Let me see here. Close, wide. That's not. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
I mean, the other one was cool too. You got like a robot in there working for you full time.
Maybe. I don't know. Okay, let's bring this in.
Yeah, Professor Gary Nolan is one of those precocious minds that when you meet them, you know you're in the presence of awesome, incredible intelligence. He's a Stanford University-based professor of immunology. At the moment, he's a nominee for the Nobel Prize. He's one of the most reputable immunologists on the planet, extremely well regarded. He's got multiple patents, huge numbers of papers that have been published in his name. He's got 2 companies listed on the NASDAQ because of successful inventions that he's made. He's just all round a complete total overachiever. And one of the things that I loved in meeting him was his candor, the fact that he was so prepared. He's very fast becoming one of the public faces of UFO, UAP commentary. He's decided to take a very public profile because he's actually an experiencer himself. So when I asked him about the significance of the US government's admissions that have been made about UAPs in the last 12 months, I was quite shocked and surprised at what he told me.
This is Gary Nolan. So Gary Nolan, as you heard, was very, very accomplished professor. I think at some very high level university. I forget what university it was, but
Gary Nolan. I'll check it out here.
Yeah, I forget what his university is he teaches at, but he's nominated for the Nobel Prize. I mean, he's got a lot of patents behind his name. He's not just some guy in the back streets in a trailer saying I see something outside in my cow pasture. This is something that's that's a big deal. And he's not necessarily saying, hey, I'm an experiencer right now. He has had some experiences in the past that has led him to this point, but he's going out and saying, hey, we need to look into this a little deeper. And that's why I'm bringing him out, because he says some significant things that I think is in line with what is truly going on, but he's detouring a little bit because of he's using his senses. And that's what I kind of want to bring out. So that clip is just to show his legitimacy, that he's not just some no show.
Yeah, so I have, what do I have here? I have Gary Nolan. He's Stanford University. Yeah, Stanford. Interesting.
Yeah, Stanford University. So let's find out what he thinks about this whole UFO thing. I think that's really, really interesting.
Professor, how significant is it that the United States government came out a year ago and admitted that unidentified aerial phenomena are real? Whatever they are, they're a real mystery.
I think it tells us that, first of all, the government has been lying to us for the last 60 or 70 years. I think it gives solace to people who have been told that they were crazy to have been believing or seeing this. So that, to me, at least from the personal point of view, from the human point of view, that's one of the most important things.
I know this is speculative, but why do you think the US government's lied?
I think it's because, frankly, they didn't understand what it was, and nobody wanted to admit that, first of all. But second, they didn't want to admit that they didn't have control over our airspace. We didn't have control over our own airspace.
So the government's been lying, but do you think there's been a cover-up?
Absolutely. I mean, there has been both a cover-up as well as a disinformation campaign to make people look like they were crazy.
See, this is amazing to me, to hear a scientist of your reputation saying this. I mean, you're one of the most eminent immunologists on the planet. You're a Nobel Prize nominee. You're somebody highly respected in your area of medicine. Is it a dangerous thing for you to admit that you think these things about the phenomenon?
I think it's dangerously necessary. I think that this is the kind of thing that if we continue to ignore it, if we continue to ignore the potential danger of what it might represent, we are putting ourselves at risk, both to what it might do to us in some time in the future, but then ignoring the physics of what these things are capable of doing.
Let's talk about it. What is it?
You know, I wish I knew, and of all the people that I've spoken with on the inside, there's really very little unanimity about what it is, except for that whatever it is appears to be so far advanced from us that it beggars understanding.
So you don't think it's human?
I'm sure it's not human.
Is it intelligent?
Yes. It certainly acts it, and in some cases it seems to have a sense of humor.
So Gary, the implications of what you're saying there are enormous, aren't they? You're suggesting that there is a highly advanced civilization that is intelligent, it's not human, and it's real.
Yeah, I almost hesitate even to call it a civilization. A civilization implies a lot of interacting parts that are moving towards some sort of goal. I couldn't even say whether or not what it is that is being observed is something like that.
Lots of just go over there. He doesn't believe that this is a civilization because it requires a lot of moving parts. That hasn't come out yet, but this is a civilization. It is human, and it does interact with other of these things. I mean, if you just look up at how it moves, some of these things that have been captured oftentimes move in these triangle patterns. They're interacting with each other. This is a civilization. This is a demonic representation here on Earth, and I think I can prove that.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's lots of different sound bites there, and that was interesting. Him saying that it's absolutely, supernatural phenomena.
Yeah, it's a supernatural phenomenon, and I think he's onto something there by what he's saying. But I think he needs to go a little further, and he's taken a very what can we observe out of this thing stance on this. That's science, and so I think that's interesting too, because oftentimes what you observe can be manipulated by an entity that is manipulating you. And so that's how this whole deception comes. It's almost as if science has been set up as a way to get information in to society and make it look factual. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about science. I like science. But it's based on observation, and sometimes those observations can be manipulated by things that we can't see. And I think that's where a lot of science fails to think about, or fails to look at these perimeters that are outside the what is that word I learned in high school a long time ago? A controlled area, because that's what you want to do. You want to control all the variables inside of a science experiment, right?
Yeah, absolutely right.
So. Anyway, I think it's interesting. He's someone that we're kind of watching very closely, because he's going to become this high, well-known voice in the community that's talking about these things, these spiritual entities that are going to manifest themselves very soon. And I think his name is going to be someone I'm definitely watching. The next document we're looking at is, have you ever heard of the Admiral Wilson document?
I don't know if I've heard of that one, but before we continue, I just had the thought that universities have never had their names attached to UFO research, and they've steered clear from that. And I find it interesting that they just found it really important to add that he is a Stanford University professor. And it just dawned on me, like, you don't hear many university professors coming out and talking about aliens. And this is what, 7 Network Australia, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's one of the major news network in Australia, their main news outlet. And that's really interesting that they would like to have us know that Gary Nolan, not just a UFO researcher confirming this phenomenon is real, but also a very prominent and notable Nobel Peace Prize winner, right? And then what he said, he's a winner of Nobel Peace prizes. Nominee. Sorry, a nominee. But that's really interesting that to have that in a documentary as big as this one, to have a Stanford University professor in it. That's just something I've not noticed much in the UFO research documentary world.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I failed to do that in the next presentation I've already recorded. I did mention that, and there are 3 different, and correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody's in Australia watching this, but there are 3 major news organizations in Australia: News 7, News 9, News 10, and those are kind of like America's ABC, NBC, CBS, major news networks that we have all over. And this right here is a documentary that one of the prominent news anchors is making about America and their UFO problem. And I think that's really fascinating, because the rest of this program is going to be talking about this documentary. They go over several different aspects of it, and I'm picking out the different pieces of it. And so the most interesting one is at the end of this show. So stay tuned. But I think we're going to go over the Admiral Wilson document real quick here, if you want to check that out.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Okay, here we go.
So the important thing to understand about the Wilson-Davis memo is that it's a document allegedly written by a guy called Dr. Eric Davis, who's an astrophysicist of great renown, now working for a government corporation called the Aerospace Corporation. And it wasn't meant to become public. It's a document that purportedly records Eric Davis's conversation with Admiral Tom Wilson, who at the time was the immediate past director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, the, if you like, top spy agency for the Defense Department of the United States. And in that conversation, if it is a true record of what actually happened to Tom Wilson allegedly described a UFO crash retrieval program being concealed inside US government and private corporate aerospace. It's an incredible conspiracy, but the amazing thing is, in my interview with Professor Gary Nolan confirmed he believes that the memo is authentic and that it records real events. Have a listen to what Gary told me.
So I'm going to pause it right there just before he goes and talks to Gary Nolan about this, because I think what's interesting about this is this, I believe, could be a physical major deception in favor of what the demonic realm wants to do, and having craft appear that who knows where they came from or how they were made. I don't know. I don't care to know. But I think it's interesting that that this could very well be, evidence. I'm using my finger quotes if you're listening to this with audio. Evidence of a proof in their favor, and I think we need to be very careful of that, because just because you can see it and doesn't mean you can believe it. You have to go to the Word of God to know exactly what's going on with this society.
That's right. Yeah, that's definitely true, Brad. I have been saying for a while that, and there's a couple of voices, and I think we've even said on this channel a couple of times, like, oh, there's no way that this is a physical manifestation. This is a spiritual manifestation. But there's been almost a evolution in even our understanding of this as we research it, and for a little while. I think we've brought up this a couple of times on the channel that perhaps these entities can show humans how to make this technology. That's possible. Because again, I don't believe that this technology is evolving on a different planet with some advanced species or an advanced race and coming here to Earth and then giving the technology almost like a Prometheus kind of paradox. But what we do read about in the Bible is that angels can very well give information, high intelligence and highly classified information. We have even the holy angels giving Mary and Joseph classified information about things that are happening in government spaces. Yeah. And we have all throughout the Bible, we read about these entities. And the Bible is about God, who even shows Moses how to build physical structures, step by step, blueprints on how to build things. So I would not be surprised if these entities, these demons, are saying, hey, we're getting ready for the grand finale here on Earth, and we will give you guys advanced military and medical, advanced technology, aerospace technology, in exchange for following our program, and we'll teach you how to make this thing. So I think that's a plausible situation. So now remember the what's his face, Bob Lazar.
Before you go into Bob Lazar, I want to add a Bible verse to your.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. What do you have?
2 Kings 6:12. None of us, my lord the king, said one of the officers, but Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. So interesting. Just like what you said about Mary and Joseph. I mean, the angels are behind the scenes. They know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and we've talked about on this channel how remote viewings happen. It's easy for an angel to know what's on the 10th story of a building, on the top of the roof, that there's a red shoe up there. That's easy, or it's easy to know. An angel can know what's inside a secret laboratory somewhere and give, people these remote viewing experiences.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that I'm a believer that these crafts, if there is presented before us physical crafts, technology from these so-called beings from other worlds, I'll bet that it was created by the government, but the information is given by these entities.
There is speculation, and this is just speculation for everyone listening, that the Roswell crash was actually someone else, another country, learning about this stuff from they call an alien, and they tried to pilot this thing, and it just didn't quite make it. And so that crash, they had to cover up and kind of say what's going on here. So you're running down some interesting rabbit holes, but don't go too far.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Admiral Wilson document is very interesting. We're going to watch, it's actually been brought up in Congress, in the United States Congress. So I'm going to play that little clip right now before we go back to Gary Nolan to talk a little bit about that. So you want to check that out real quick?
Cool. Yeah. Let it rip.
And then finally, are you aware of a document that appeared around 2019, sometimes called the Admiral Wilson Memo or EW Notes Memo?
I'm not.
I'm not personally aware of that. Okay. This is a document in which, again, I'm not commenting on the veracity. I was hoping you would help me with that, in which a former head of DIA claims to have had a conversation with Dr. Eric Wilson and claims to have sort of been made aware of certain contractors or DoD programs that he tried to get fuller access to and was denied access to. So you're not aware of that?
I'm not aware, Congressman.
In my 10 seconds remaining, then I guess I just would ask Mr. Chairman unanimous consent to enter that memo into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
So obviously that's Congress. It was a much longer, drawn out version of, they were trying to hash out what's going on with these UAPs that's going on in the military, because the military is having some major problems with that stuff. And they said, are you aware of this? This is a actual legitimate document I want to submit, and I want you to research if this is legit or not, is basically what they were saying.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, so I'm getting here that you might be getting some, that you've got to mute your microphone while the clips are playing, because there's some feedback that people are experiencing. Just a heads up.
Oh, good call. I thought it muted, but yeah, I'll see if I can do that. Absolute. We just full disclosure, my AC went out, so I'm like sweating down the side of my face trying to do this program live, and without an AC on. And this thing behind me is a giant heater. And so I've got the window open over here. You might hear noises, cars going by, all kinds of stuff. But just bear with us. I get my AC fixed tomorrow, and we can figure it out. Anyway, Gary Nolan, this is live. We're going to talk about Gary Nolan here and what he thinks about this, because I think what he says is very interesting.
Are you aware of a document called the Admiral Wilson document?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I know Eric Davis, and Eric is of a kind of character that is just impossible for him to lie.
The significance of that document is that the former immediate director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Admiral Thomas Wilson, allegedly had a conversation with Dr. Eric Davis, a renowned physicist, where he imparted his discovery that there was a secret UFO reverse engineering program going on inside the US government, where they were hiding recovered spacecraft. And it was being hidden in private aerospace, in a private aerospace corporation. Now, the journalist in me, Gary, thinks Americans can't keep secrets. I mean, everything leaks in this country.
And this is an example of it.
Okay, so you take that point.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it did leak.
Ultimately, it leaked. But what was interesting was that how it was found. It was found in Edgar Mitchell's effects after he died. So it wasn't like anybody went out of their way to put it out there. And
it's Apollo 14 astronaut, Edgar Mitchell. Yeah.
And Eric Davis had written it, and I don't know what the story was as to how Dr. Mitchell got a hold of it, but nobody was looking to actively reveal this. It was the work of journalists who finally got a hold of Edgar's materials, who decided to release it. So why would Eric Davis lie about writing something that he never intended to go public in the first place? He was just doing what an intelligence agent does on a regular basis, which is write reports of what it is that they've been doing.
And Eric, quite conspicuously, has never made any comment one way or the other about the veracity of the document.
Right. Well,
he can't, can he?
He can't, but well before this came to light, I already knew of the document. So, because, Eric was part of a group that I was associated with around this.
The implications of that are mind-blowing, Gary. Yeah. I mean, this conversation, you told me that you believe, on evidence, that there is a non-human intelligence of advanced technology on this planet.
Right, advanced capabilities. Now, I don't know whether it's a technology per se, because I'm leaving open the idea that it's some form of consciousness that is non-material.
Interesting.
Did I stopped you when you started talking about Bob Lazar. Did you ever finish that thought?
Well, the only thing that I was saying was, yeah, pretty much what he was saying.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. He's still doubling down on the idea that, this thing is not material. And
Yeah.
he also says, though, that he already knew about this document because he's involved with the group that knows stuff. And so what I think he's saying is, just like we saw the Blink-182 guy, Tom DeLonge, went out and met with a big group of people that know a thing or two about this stuff. It could very well be that this guy at the Stanford University is a part of that group. He's already been meeting with the military to try to figure this stuff out, and other documentaries with him have said, and he said himself that I have stored away some material that we believe is off planet. Now that could mean asteroids. That could mean all kinds of stuff. It might be this tiny, who knows? But I think that's part of the deception. So I think we need to be ready. And the reason why I'm focusing on this tonight, just this section of it, is because just because you see something, just because it's tangible, doesn't mean it's going to change your belief system. Our belief system is not based on what we see and touch. It's based on the Bible and the Bible only. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got, I think, one more video on this.
Cool.
So we like to talk about provenance in the UFO business. Where did documents come from? How was a photo taken? Who handled it? Who didn't handle it? So what I find so interesting about the Wilson Davis memo is how it came to us. There was an astronaut, Edgar Mitchell, from Apollo 14. I think he was the pilot for Apollo 14. And he was very active in the UAP movement. He passed away a few years ago. And when they were going through his things, they found this memo in it. So it isn't like somebody just leaked it. It was like something that Edgar Mitchell had been holding privately, and then it got out. So I think the provenance is interesting on it, but when Gary Nolan says, "Oh yeah, that's the real thing," I get shivers on that one too because of what it says. And as you said, Ross, it wants to say that there is a crash retrieval and reverse engineering program not being done right now by the U.S. government, but being done by private enterprise. Now, why would that happen? It would happen because the Department of Defense and the government knows that these FOIA, Freedom of Information requests, can pull documents out of the U.S. government, but there's no way to pull a document out of a private enterprise. So that may explain a lot of things.
Very interesting.
I got to remember to mute myself. Sorry about that, everyone that's still hearing me or an echo. Yeah, so that's the end of that clip. They're really pushing that idea that there is some evidence behind here, and they're gonna push the idea that this proves that there is extraterrestrial life, and they want to talk to us and all this other stuff. That's happening, and
yeah. So
it's very, very, very interesting. What is absolutely true about this is that there will be something of grand deception. The Bible says so, and it will be just shocking to everybody. It will challenge even the elect if possible. So I think this is a part of that big thing. I saw Paul Terry in here. Hey, Paul. He says Philippians 4:8. How is your night going? And I wanted to make sure that we are reemphasizing that this is a noble cause that we're pushing here.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see, are we still alive here?
I think so. Oh, am I? You know what? That's my bad. Let me bring us back. So,
yeah.
Okay. So next we got Bryce Zabel. This is a whole different concept. So we're switching gears now because this is a very, very interesting point of Hollywood. And Bryce Zabel and Ross Coulthart. Ross is the guy that's doing the interview from Australia, I believe. Bryce Zabel is a producer in Hollywood. He has a very interesting story about this. Let's check it out real quick.
So, Bryce, there is a story that you have been personally involved in that I find absolutely fascinating. And it goes to the whole mythology that over the years, the US defense and intelligence community has tried to influence what Hollywood puts out. Now, just to explain to our audience, you are a very accomplished Hollywood producer and screenwriter in your own right. You're actually the former chairman of the Emmy Awards. You've written multiple award-winning movies. What happened to you and your colleague, Brent Friedman, when you were doing the launch party for your Dark Skies series? Just give us a bit of an introduction. We're going to run a bit of an interview from Brent Friedman, your colleague, but just tell our audience what the context was for what Brent's about to tell us.
Well, here's the interesting thing. You talked about the mythology of the government and some kind of symbiotic relationship with Hollywood. I don't know how extensive it's been, although there are cases that go back to frankly, 1950. But I personally have experienced it with my Dark Skies television series co-creator, Brent Friedman.
Dark Skies.
Okay, so you know what Dark Skies is?
No, I don't know. The title stood out to me. Dark Skies. What is that? A documentary?
It's a TV series that kind of had a cult following back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was it was a passion project of I think Zabel, who's the guy's talking.
I see here. Yeah.
And he absolutely wanted to create this, and he wanted to do it because he had received some information from a friend of his that worked in the government, and he wanted to expose it via fiction. Sound familiar, Tom DeLonge? Tom DeLonge did the same thing. He wanted to expose this stuff. He went to the government, and he wrote children's novels for what's going on and what the government wanted to say about it, which isn't 100% correct according to the Bible. And so it's a deception in a deception. It's kind of out there. But so anyway, Zabel put this together. But what happened next was truly amazing, because he had somebody come to him during the pilot of this thing that already had seen it. And he says, I don't know how that happened, but what he told him next was very interesting. So we're going to watch that now.
We created a series called Dark Skies that aired on NBC in the 90s. At the same time, The X-Files was out, I should tell you. And we had an incident that happened to us that I just have never heard anyone else have anything quite like it. This is what happened. We decided to have a Dark Skies premiere party for when the show was first going to air. It was a 2-hour episode. It was on September 21st, 1996. And we had a party. 200 people who were cast and crew and the network executives, the studio executives. And we had it at my house. So there's that. So we have all these people coming to my house to watch the show that has not yet aired. All right. And while that was happening, we were approached by a gentleman who got into my house. A guy that got into my house. I knew everybody else, 200 people there, knew them all, didn't know this guy. And he approached Brent and myself as the co-creators of the show, said he was from the Office of Naval Intelligence, and they wanted to help us. Now, I'm going to let Brent tell a little bit more of the story now.
So before we get into that, Brent telling the full story, I want to reiterate that this guy is not some just small guy. This guy that's talking, Zabel, if people in the 90s, I guess it was in the 90s, I used to watch this TV show called Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. That was this guy. He did many different shows back then, and he's a very well produced guy. In fact, he's so well produced that, I mean, to have 200 people at your house. I had 10 acres once, and I had a bonfire, and 50 people came over, and I was like, this is too many. I can't handle this. But to have 200 people at your house means you got, some enormous house that you're having a party at. So this is a big wig in Hollywood, and he's saying something peculiar happened that he wants to tell about, and I think that's the story that's going on here. So watch this.
He was not a man in black. He looked like a young Republican. He looked like a young politician, right, if anything. And he came up and introduced himself and said that he was a big fan of the show and he loved what he had seen. And again, the show is in the middle of a broadcast, right, for the first time on television, and he's already talking about that he's seen the whole thing, which struck me as odd. And as we started to have a conversation, he had said, yeah, I was sent here by some very interested people to let you know that we really appreciate what you and Bryce are doing with the show, and we wanted to help. And
that was my reaction. The very face you made was my face.
And again, I can't tell you how surreal this was, because I'm trying to keep an eye on the party, but I'm talking to this guy, and I'm very confused as to who he is and why I'm having this conversation with him, but it's kind of fascinating, so I keep talking. And I said, well, I don't understand. How do you think you can help? And he said, well, you've actually got a lot of truth in your show, but you can have a lot more if you work with myself and my partners. We're prepared to come in and tell you some really interesting things. And so this guy said, well, I'm going to let you get back to your party. I've already taken up too much of your time, but I want to leave you with something. I was like, okay. So he asked my wife, do you have a paper and pencil or something in your purse? So she pulls out something and she gives it to him. And he starts to scribbled down, like he's writing on a checkbook, a piece of paper on a checkbook. He writes something down, and he folds it up, and he said, "Do me a favor, hold on to this, put it in a safety deposit box, and in about 15 or 20 years, take it out, and see if this predicts any particular truth." And I was like, "Can I look at it now?"
Right.
And he said, "Sure." So I open it up, and it's this weird formula. It's like a weird math equation, but with hieroglyphs and all sorts of stuff. And I said, "Well, what is this?" And he said, "Sound, light, and frequency. Secrets of the universe. Nice talking with you." And he walks, and he kind of goes into the bushes, and he's gone.
Oh,
and my wife was like, I know, it sounds ridiculous, but this is what happened.
So what just happened there? Someone came into his house, and I read a little bit about the story in depth because I wanted to know exactly what happened in more details, because I know these guys are leaving some pieces out, and they are. He said when they went into his house, everyone had to have a little name tag that looked like it was the X-Files name tag, so that they knew who was everybody, and it was just kind of a joke, like they were all secret agents and everything like that. And this guy got into the house, he didn't have a name tag on, so obviously he wasn't supposed to be there. And he started saying, "Hey, you know what? I got some information I'd really like to tell you about. And I've seen the entire program." So, and they're going to test him on this. And they're going to test him all about this stuff that's happening, because they want to know if he's legit or not. And the guy passes the test. We're going to look at that. And that's going to go a little bit further down into the program. But what he calls himself, his name, really shocked me. And we're going to find out in the next clip what he calls himself. But before we talk about that, the equation they talked about, this, the reason why I included this, because I thought it was a little far out. The equation, he's trying to say, hey, look, I know the future. I know what's going to happen in the future. So it's my belief that this guy isn't some, random prankster. This guy isn't some disinformation agent, as some have surmised. This is probably a spirit from the realm manifesting himself as someone that wants to give these producers some information. Let's just go on and see what characteristics pop out at you as we go down through this rabbit hole, because if this is correct, this is truly fascinating, and this is how probably some Hollywood has gotten some things from the spirit realm into their programs before.
Yeah, good point.
Did you witness any of this? Yeah, I did. It's almost interesting. It would have been a great experiment to put Brent in one room and me in another room and have us tell the story, because I can confirm all of the details.
It was very antagonistic.
Yeah.
The meeting ultimately went nowhere. It's like, I think I got the sense that this guy that I met in Bryce's yard, who called himself JC, that's all he would tell me about himself, that he was trying to broker something with this military person from the Navy. They started throwing around, and I don't remember the differentiation, but there was a group called the Aviary and there was a group called the Aquarium. There were different, one Aviary was the Air Force,
right,
I think,
right.
And the Aquarium. So the Aquarium was trying to get the truth out, and the Aviary was trying to shut it down. And so these guys, and so I felt that JC was trying to negotiate something with the Aquarium to get some truths out in television. Right. And they wanted to help us come up with some story ideas. They did not want story credit, and they did not want money.
So did you catch that?
JC.
JC.
Hold on. JC. Does that ring a bell to you, Brad? Yeah, I don't know. Do we know anybody by the initials JC? Interesting.
So what I think is going on here, I don't think that was Jesus Christ. I think what's happening
not.
here, Isaiah 14:12, right, says, "I will ascend to the heaven. I will be like the Most High." All these demons, they want to be worshipped. They want to be like God. I will be like the Most High. And so obviously everywhere they go, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I know the future, and my name is JC, wink, wink." And so anybody that just knows a little bit about the Bible is going to go, "I wonder if that was," no, it couldn't have been. Maybe we should listen to them, and then they're serving God, or they think it's God.
Immediately the Bible verse that came to mind was Matthew 24:24, for false Christs and false prophets will arise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. So this, let's just say this JC is supposed to, I don't know, maybe leave the impression or suggestion in your mind, like you said, to get your kind of your brain juice flowing. Could it be? Well, immediately when I heard JC, I'll tell you, I thought of Jesus Christ, the initials. Those are the initials that the name that I thought of. And no, I don't think it was Jesus Christ, but I do know that the Bible said that there would be false Christs and false prophets. And they'll show signs and wonders to deceive. And here we have this man saying, I was visited by a mysterious man who appeared at my party, who disappeared into the bushes after we had this conversation. And during the conversation, this man showed him signs on a napkin to give him some kind of information. So I think that's pretty telling. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I think that was a false Christ. I think that was definitely something of a supernatural. If he's telling the truth, if what he's experiencing is the truth, how it happened, I don't think it was a government official. I think that it was a spirit entity. It reminds me a lot of, we did our Georgia Guidestones video a couple of weeks ago, and a similar thing happened. The guy calls in. He's like, hey, I'd like to have some granite slabs made, and I want you to chisel in there. I've got these commandments, these rules for the future. And he's a very mysterious figure, calls into this random granite, concrete countertop, I don't know, whatever they were doing, company. And maybe they were making, public artwork or something like that. But anyway, the guy calls and, hey, well, we have to have a name so that we know who to build this to. And he says, well, I'm RC Christian. RC Christian. Well, what is that? I mean, that sounds a lot to me like Roman Catholic Christian. That's, I just find that, again, we're seeing a thread here. It's very fascinating. So there goes my conspiracy theory hat.
So what I think is happening, and we're building a case here. So what's going to happen next, what this JC character is most interested in the whole time is coming up. And I think it's very telling what his characteristics, because no human's going to be interested in what he's caring about. And no disinformation agent's going to be interested in what he's caring about, but the spiritual realm would be. So,
totally.
But before we go into that, I want to say we have seen, or actually we have stories from Chris Lang, did a program on Little Light Studios where he told a story about one of his friends that had a spirit appear to him, and it was physical. They could feel the breath, they could feel the warmth, they could feel the heartbeat. And he said, absolutely, they came right through the door just like they normally did, and they were dead. They weren't alive. So, they had already died. And he says, after they left, they said, it's all light and love on the other side. Light and love is a new age terminology that emphasizes
love and light.
Everybody makes it. All dogs get to heaven type of thing. It's a universalism concept.
Yeah. That sound, light, and frequency thing again too, Brad, that's also talked about in the new age a lot. People talk about it. Everything is sound, light, and frequency. We did a big episode on the law of one material. And in that, we have these beings, these alien entities contacting people, and all throughout the writings, which I had gone through over the course of that week. And everything is about sound, light, and frequency. They're trying to say that human beings are, one part flesh, and then they have a mind, but they also have a spirit. And the whole goal of the human being is the spirit to ascend to a high dimension. And every human should know that, everything is sound and light and frequency. And once you figure that out, you realize everything is God, right? It's the whole alien deception here is a new age deception disguised in a new skin. Yep. That's right.
I want to say hi to a seasonal name here. She sent us a super chat and said, pair character uplifting some weight, saying keep it up.
Right on.
So
thank you, a seasonal name.
Absolute. And so let's jump in to see what this guy really cares about in this next clip.
And in particular, though, I remember one thing that irritated him. we had a great, I guess, storyline and series laid out about a conspiracy, right? But one of the things that Brent brought to the party, because he had kind of a horror film background at that point, is we added this thing where the aliens were, we called it the ganglion, and they would infest a person, physically. And so you had ganglions coming out of people's mouths and all that. I remember they were like, that's not the way it works, okay? And we were like, we don't care if that's the way it works. It's the way it works in Dark Skies.
Yeah, it's a TV show.
But they were like, no, see, you're setting everything back, because that's not how they really do it.
So they wanted you to publish what they were saying was the truth.
Yes.
They were concerned because they were setting everything back. So they're trying to move something forward. That's what they're trying to do, right? And so they're moving an agenda forward, and they want them to take their advice. And they said, you know what, this possession idea that these things are doing, these aliens are doing, this is not how it works. You're making it look too horror. We want it to look good. So, and these producers emphasizes this at the end. So I think that's really
it's almost like these whoever these mysterious men were essentially saying, like, guys, you got to get the doctrine right. You guys got to get you guys got to get on board with whatever the agenda is, because you can't be presenting them like slimy aliens possessing people. It doesn't work like that. So I'm curious to see how he says this thing works.
Yeah. But not only that, he's also going to set it up to tell you exactly how Hollywood works too. He's gonna say, hey, we understand how this whole thing works, and if you read the additional information beyond this video, which I'll put that in the show notes, he also says that these things, when they got into a room with us, they were very condescending, saying that we were, you guys think you know it all, but we know everything about this. It just sounds, the characteristics just make me think something else is up here. They think they're above humanity. They think they're above these producers. These guys are making a lot of money doing this, and they think they know it all about Hollywood. Just some red flags. I see a lot of red flags happening in the chat. So check this out. What does he say next about the media? Pay close attention to this.
Yeah. Okay, let's assume that's true for a moment. Why would any government agency that's presumably presiding over an intentional cover-up come to a TV program and try and sew it with aspects of the truth?
Because JC said to me that it's a drip system, right? Like, get the truth out there in small ways. And you have a television show that millions of people are watching right now. Some people will take it seriously, and if we start lacing it with bits of the truth, then we're preparing everybody.
So Ross, just to be clear, they were on board with the alien invasion aspect of it. They just were not on board with us telling it as a horror story. Yeah. They had issues with that. And to answer your question, which is a really excellent one, it's as Brent said, they were looking at a disclosure scenario. How ultimately does this secret become known to the public? And they said to us that, pretty much what Brent said earlier, the president can't come out and say, by the way, here's everything, and all at once. So they wanted to see more of the truth through fiction. And in fact, that which was exactly what our show was doing. We literally told people in our sales materials when we sold the series that we had been approached to tell the true story, under the cover of fiction.
So he just revealed a lot there. He was approached to tell the story, the true story, according to how he thinks it is, the deception, under fiction. And so, and then they said it's a drip system. Some people will accept it, some people will believe it, and some people will run with it. And so that's exactly what that's exactly what we've been trying to say at Little Light Studios forever. LittleLightStudios.tv is the website. Little Light, if you go to youtube.com/Little Light, we talk about this all the time. And media is a tool. They and they need to get something out there to the masses. You have a ton of following, and who is Satan going to go after? The people that he can reach the fastest. And so media is a very dangerous thing to touch. I mean, even doing this, I'm very concerned about, hey, what do we say? We pray before every episode. We say, we hope our tongue edifies the Lord, because this is, we want to reach the people. We want to say the right things. We won't want to deceive people. But when your mindset is I don't believe in God, I don't believe in all this stuff, but I want to believe that the government's coming to help me, then you have people like JC coming to help you.
Yeah, that's pretty bizarre. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot to chew on there. Again, if what they're saying is true,
Right.
the men coming to them, then yeah, I think we've got yet another case of demon entities presenting themselves, as Roger Morneau said, to be inhabitants, declaring themselves to be inhabitants of far distant worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And unless something, what do you say? Unless something
Coming to Earth.
serious.
Yeah.
We always get this quote wrong, don't we?
Beings from far distant galaxies coming to Earth to declare there's an impending disaster coming unless something proper is done to avoid
Unless
it.
something proper is done to avoid it. We're gonna rehearse this next time. we're gonna rehearse the Roger Morneau line so that we can sound like we know what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean that's incredible.
And
Pretty amazing.
So there's a final characteristic, not a final one. There's a lot of different characteristics in here, but there's one I want to talk about is the fact that he knew ahead of time what was going on with this program. So check this out.
And there are multiple witnesses to this guy showing up. He called himself JC, and he laid out his story and what they wanted us to do. But the question is, why would they want to help? Does anybody really want to help? It's so strange. One of the things that I will tell you that happened is that when you shoot a pilot in the U.S. for television, lots of people actually are part of the process to make the pilot, but they don't all get to see it. All right. So this guy, when he showed up at my house the night of the premiere party, said he had seen the pilot, and me, kind of being a skeptic like yourself, I said, "Oh yeah. Well, what happens after a Lone Guard sees the crop circle?" Which I thought, well, that ought to smoke him out pretty good. And the guy said, "Oh yeah, well that's where they go back to the Majestic 12 headquarters and they perform the surgery," which is exactly what happens in the series. And keep in mind,
So do you think he was actually saying that some
of?
of? Do you think he was saying that some of what you were putting in your program was actually true,
Yes.
even though you and Brent had just made this stuff up?
But that's exactly what he said. He said that they had seen our pilot, and they obviously had. I mean, they had seen the pilot, and that they thought it was very good, and I guess they thought there would be the drip, drip, drip of disclosure, and that we were part of telling the truth under the cover of fiction, which was kind of the way that we sold the Dark Sky series in the first place. So I guess what this fellow was saying is, we think there are some things that you could put into your show that would be even more helpful. Now, to that, I said, I'm a Hollywood producer, as you just pointed out. I really don't want guys from O&I giving me ideas. They're not going to be in our TV series or whatever.
Classic Hollywood right there, isn't it?
Yep.
Putting information into, there's another, I was listening to two guys, I'll have to send that to you in Discord, but there's two guys here talking about very similar thing, two different guys though. Man, I wish I could remember their name, but anyway, they were saying that movies like Top Gun, this was right when Top Gun came out, they were saying that like the Pentagon, they vet and control everything in those movies, because don't you dare make a massive, like a budget film like Top Gun and not get the facts right, or at least not get the narrative right, what the United States government wants to reveal. So there aren't any military movies out there, I would bet, that the government didn't say, okay, you guys can put that out there, or you guys can't put that out there, or hey, by the way, we'll give you X amount of dollars, write you a check from a mysterious organization under a mysterious name, who knows, maybe like JC or RC Christian, something crazy like that, with, I don't know, $50 million to make your budget film, but you have to do this, you have to tell them this, or you can't tell them that. I mean, that's lobbying, it's what that is.
Right. Yeah.
So we have the government lobbying the entertainment industry, lobbying Hollywood, essentially.
Right, and that's usually what happens. They want to have their fingers into how they look and everything, and oftentimes, and that's the whole. There's a word for that: propaganda. That's exactly what happens. But what I think is very fascinating about this part right here is that you have an entity. Let's just call him an entity. You have JC that's very fascinated about a UFO series that's going on TV in prime time, and he is just not liking the possession part, and he's seen it already. Most editors haven't seen the whole program already, and they're making the program, and so
right,
something's up here. Something's really up here. So yeah, there's something going on.
It's really, really interesting.
So one last thing, they're going to talk about the napkin. There is a thing they wrote down, and I just included this just because it's, again, they're trying to reiterate, or at least JC is trying to reiterate, that he knows something that they don't, and he's above all of humanity. Even maybe he's from the future. Who knows? I don't believe that, but I think that's maybe what he's trying to push here. Check this out.
One of the things in the Dark Skies series is there is a ganglion that kind of infests somebody's head and then it gets out of their head. That's what bothered them, Ross. They said, well, that's not the way it works. And I said, well, I don't care how it works. This is a TV series. You know, it's drama. We make things up. And he goes, yeah, but you know, that one, it's just not quite the way it works. You could do better on that. So I don't know. You tell me.
So he's actually implying that there are aliens that are possessing people.
I think not necessarily. I think what he was implying was you have turned the alien-human conflict into a horror show.
They were really concerned about possession. They were really concerned about this.
I forget, do they show the napkin in here with the little scribbles on it? Have you seen that? It was floating around Twitter.
Yeah, I think I saw it, but it didn't make a lot of sense to me. And he said it
was just like scribbles.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, who knows what they might have just made something up just to make them think. Because later on, according to the documentation, according to the story, they actually did have a second meeting with this guy, which they just browbeat them the whole time. They said these JC characters.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what is this? Let's check this out.
Now, Bryce, we've got to come to an end on this show, but I can't let you go without asking you, come on, a napkin with the secrets of the universe, sound, light, and frequency? What the hell does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you something. I know it's easy to say what you just said. I mean, I would say it myself to you if you were telling the story. But I will say that when I was there and this happened, I did not for a second think I was being goofed on by somebody. I felt like this guy wrote this thing down. I remembered it as a napkin. Brent remembers it as just a regular piece of paper, but he wrote this thing down that looked like a formula. He did it quickly, and he showed it to us. And he said, you should keep this, and in a few years, 10, 15 years, see how it reads to you. And I said, what is it? And he said, sound, light, and frequency, secret of the universe. Now, you laugh, but I remember I saw Tom DeLonge not long ago, I believe on the Joe Rogan show, but it might have been some other show, talking about sound, light, and frequency.
I know. You just took my line. I was going to say, that's what chilled me out.
Yeah.
It sent a shiver down my spine when Tom started talking about sound, light, and frequency. And for people who don't know who Tom DeLonge is, Tom's the former lead singer of Blink-182, a punk pop rock band, and he's also been behind the scenes and now more publicly a very public face for UFO UAP transparency. And in fact, Tom's one of the people I'd love us to get on Need to Know.
So would I.
Because he's one of my heroes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let me get you up here. There we go. That's I think what's the most fascinating thing about that is that Tom, I recognize Tom and Lou Elizondo as someone who fully understands what at least the deception. They don't understand it's a deception, but they know the story of deception, because this whole thing is a deception in a deception. What's going on is you have entities, spiritual entities, that are making people believe a scenario, and that scenario is classified with the U.S. because the government doesn't know what's going on. They're like, until we can figure this out, we're not going to let anybody know that we can't figure this out, so we can't be exploited. And so that's where the whole UFO cover-up came from. And so you got a conspiracy and a cover-up, and everyone's trying to figure this out now. And when it comes out, I mean, when the false stuff comes out, people are just going to go, "Whoa, I believe that," and it's going to become a
This is truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're going to think it's truth. They're, I'm right there with you. People are. I believe that the Lord is revealing this to us ahead of time. We know that ultimately God is in control. And what is that Bible verse that says, surely the Lord does nothing unless he reveals his secrets to his servants? What am I thinking of right here? To servants. Let's pull that one up, because that's important to know. And this is what I believe. Maybe I'm thinking, let's see. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Yes, I don't know what the verse is.
Lord does nothing here. I'm going to search this. This is important.
Yeah. If someone knows this in the comments, go ahead and comment on it, because I'm sure someone knows that verse before we can even type it into Google.
So I'm looking at Amos 3:7.
Oh, nice.
8. Amos. Let's go to Amos, because the Bible verses are important. Amos 3:7. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it here.
It's hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? Will a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he has caught nothing? Will a bird fall into a snare on the earth where there is no trap for it? Will a snare spring up from the earth if it has caught nothing at all? If a trumpet is blown in a city, will not the people be afraid? If there is calamity in a city, will not the Lord have done it? Surely the Lord God does nothing unless he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets.
Well done. Yeah.
Isn't that reassuring?
Yeah.
That God, before he moves, he always tells. He always gives us a heads up. We see that with the children of Israel. He tells them, get your firstborn ready. Put the blood of the lamb on the doorpost because we're going to shake some things up. And we see that happening here in the last days, I believe. And I am humbled by the work that the Lord has brought us to do here, and not just here at Strange Normal. There are other pastors and other ministries who are at this work, really doing really awesome work. But I believe that the Lord is telling us, hey, get in your Bible every day. Get on your knees in the morning and pray. Seek my face. There is something coming on this earth. What do we say at the very beginning here? You're not going to be able to rely on your senses.
No.
You're not going to be able to rely on what your eyes see, what your ears hear, what your nose, what you can taste. You're going to have a foundation in the Word of God. In order to, and what do we see in the Revelation? That it is those who have the testimony of Jesus and the faith of Jesus who are able to withstand the last days, the end times deception. So I truly believe that the Lord is preparing people to see this. And that's, this napkin writing. I think what we're dealing with there, Brad, is a textbook false prophet, because we have a false prophet, even having the initials JC. That's a hint that's given away. We didn't have to have that hint, but we have that hint. JC writing a sign on a napkin, trying to tell the secrets of the universe, and also the fact that it's a prophecy, because he said, put this away. And in 50 years or 15 years or 10, 15 years, bring it out and tell me if it comes true. And then they listen to Tom DeLonge on Joe Rogan's podcast of this thing fulfilling. So we have a textbook false prophet and false Christ deceiving people. We got to be careful. We have to be watchful.
Regardless if it was a spiritual entity or not. And I think it was, but if it was a false prophet, and they're in Hollywood and they're trying to convince these guys, and they did a really good job, regardless if it was spiritual or not. They got a second meeting with them, and so
absolutely.
I'll put all these notes into the show notes. I think it's really a fascinating story to kind of separate and dive into, because it really shows the truth behind what's going on here, and how dangerous Hollywood media can be, and how interested the spiritual realm, specifically the demonic spiritual realm, is on this UFO thing. They are very, very interested in it, because it will become one of the final, leading up to the final deception. We know the final deception through Revelation is the Christ, or Satan becoming, or trying to become Christ. But I don't think it's going to be it's going to be part of the final deception. This UFO thing is going to be leading up to that, and it's fascinating.
I believe that. I believe that the UFO thing is going to build credibility,
right,
for the Antichrist. It's going to these are his false prophets, essentially. That's what I think is happening. It's leading everybody in a certain direction. It's like this JC figure was talking about, like, don't put that in your documentary. We're backtracking here. We've got something going on we're trying to do, and they were becoming condescending and frustrated and mean. I had my testimony that I shared with Stephanie Griffin on the Stephanie Griffin Ministries channel, and I shared with her the experience that I had when I was 18. It was very similar. I remember when I had my UFO alien encounter. That's what I understood it to be at the time. Now I know it was a demonic deception. But what happened over the course of that encounter was that these entities became very impatient and frustrated and upset with me because I declined to yield to their offers of becoming their evangelist, so to speak. And I find that very telling when I hear these UFO encounter, alien encounter, supernatural encounter things. They're all the same. They're very much the same. And I'm just so comforted when I read the Bible, how God presents himself to man, how he uses his angels as messengers to present themselves. And, God is amazing because he makes his agenda known. He tells us what he's going to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. That's huge. Yeah, if you haven't seen his testimony yet, Aaron's testimony, go to Stephanie Griffin's YouTube channel, Stephanie Griffin Ministries, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's out right now, and it's a very, very interesting story. We have other interesting stories too. In fact, I should probably get your testimony on this channel sometime as well, Aaron.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
We have some that are coming up here. I try to save the testimonies for when I'm out of town, so that if there's something that happens, I can have something to post. but we're on the way. So, anyways, we're at an hour and 8 minutes. That's actually under time. We can still go a little longer, but let's just read through some of the comments here.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, someone is, by the way, asking me. It's hard to kind of type and also record at the same time. So Lulu20, if you're looking for me on social media, as people have asked in the past, I'll just put this out there. Twitter is Parallax, same thing, 0_0. TikTok, same thing, Parallax 0_0. YouTube is the same thing, 0_0. Parallax 0_0. And Facebook, you can find me around under the same thing. I've got a page, but I'm not active on there with the Parallax page, but you can still find me there. But yeah, it looks like
type it in the chat. I'll star it and put it up in the video so people have it.
Great. It's also right there. Wait, no, I'm pointing in the wrong. Right there.
There it is. That's right.
I try to keep the name consistent across social platforms. I try.
But you have is it 0_0 at both? Is it on either side or just one side? It's just one side.
No, it's always on that side.
Okay. Yeah. Perfecto.
I thought it looked like my face with the glasses and just a straight, serious face.
Very good. Well, I think let's see what else telling here.
Yeah, there's lots of comments here.
There's some really good comments I thought I wanted to post up here.
You gotta love MC's hype at the very beginning.
His height?
That's fun. His hype. MC. He says, "Let's go, strange normal crew." Pure strangeness, absolute normalcy. Oh, that would be a good T-shirt, Brad. Pure strangeness, absolute normalcy.
Oh yeah, that's great.
People would be like, "What in the world is that shirt about?" Like, let me tell you. Do you like aliens?
Well, we don't either.
All caps. No cap, MC. No cap.
Number one, hello. Greetings, guys. How long would it take before we realize Jesus is waiting for us to ask us for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit? Man, I ask I hope that happens very soon. The outpouring of the Holy Spirit. I ask and ask and ask about that. And we all should ask, because if the more we ask, the more we could obtain, because God said to ask and you should be given to you. So I think we should continually ask.
Me, Eve, I spoke with spirit after smoking too much DMT. Yeah. Don't do DMT. That will give you very bad experiences. And some of those are supernatural. There's a lot of truth to the dangers of doing hallucinogenic anything. Don't do it. It's bad. Bad things will happen.
The decision part of your mind, so you can't make the decision to stop entities from entering your possession you. That's the dangerous part of some of these chemicals, and it affects the brain.
Yeah, same thing with meditation. So you don't have to be on drugs to have supernatural experiences. People who meditate or collect crystals or who are obsessed with the occult. Joe Jordan always says, you wouldn't open your door to me if I told you let me come in. You'd be like, no, I don't know who you are. But yet we open so many doors in our spiritual lives and in our mind that should be absolutely shut. They should be closed.
Yes.
So
yes.
No with the DMT.
Lulu20 says YouTube channel name. I'm not sure what channel she's referring to.
She was asking, or he or she was asking for the YouTube channel. I believe she's asking for my YouTube channel because previously she was asking for where to find. And then I gave her, or he, I don't know, Lulu. Sorry, if you're Lulu, you're a girl here. I don't. Yeah, so I think
you're
that
getting
should
her
solve
pronouns wrong.
I think that should solve it. Let's see. Parallax 0_0.
We're the whole Nephilim thing. I think it's a great discussion. We're actually going to do a video on that. I think it's a very important thing we need to cover.
Everybody wants to talk about Nephilim. To be honest with you, I'm burnt out of talking about.
Let's not give our opinion on what it is yet, because it's important that we don't reveal.
I'm just saying, I'm just tired. Like having the conversation just kind of gets like, there's so much more to this thing, this paradigm going on. There's so much more going on than just like this thing that, that people, say may have happened a very long time ago. But right now, what we're dealing with is something insanely insane. And I think that we should really focus on what's happening right here, right now. What can we confirm?
Right. And we need to focus on that because there's so many other things we can get distracted with. And I can name just a handful of them off the top of my head that we have even said, you know what, even though that we couldn't debate this, we might not always agree on everything on this channel, but there's some things that are much more important that we need to talk about instead of just debating back and forth about stuff that's might or might not be able to prove biblically. And so this channel is devoted to that one topic and revealing the deception.
It's the paranormal, sure.
What we see, and it's going to become a much bigger deal. And so stay tuned.
Yeah, that's good. So we're not a creation science study, Bible study type of channel. And there are some really cool creation who they get into angels and dates and archaeology and the flood. And there's really cool channels out there. We are focused on people having strange experiences. That's the strange normal, and people who are having these experiences today. Kind of like Ghostbusters. Lulu20 confirmed. I'm a girl. Smiley face. All right, confirmed. Thanks.
Very good, and I'm always glad to have everybody here. We had a guy. He said he was very old, and he said he's just thrilled to have us talking about this on this channel. We've actually had several churches reach out to Little Light recently and say, hey, I want more of that strange normal stuff at my church. And Little Light has to say, that's not our ministry, but you can contact them here. The funny thing is that might be changing. We'll see what happens in the future. But I that's where I work. I work at Little Light, and this is my side project they let me have because I believe it's going to be a big issue here coming up, and so it needs to be covered quickly.
And I'm with you, Brad. I got your back. I think we need to kill these vibes. When I say that, I'm talking about the alien vibes, the vibrations, the things that make the aliens do their thing. We need to destroy this concept in people's minds through love and through scripture, using the Bible and through lots of prayer. That's what our goal is. And I think it's going to be a big thing too. I am more and more persuaded every single day. And there's times too where I'll be like, are we just reading into something that really isn't there? I don't think that this is the one. I don't think this is one of those situations. So
yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about it. We're going to have a whole show dedicated to testimonies and sharing. But at work, people want to talk about this. Conversations come up. I go to church and I'm just like, all right, Aaron, no alien talk today. Like just have a good time, enjoy some potluck. And somebody will sit down. So what you been doing?
Yeah.
Well,
let me tell you.
It comes up. Yeah, people have been texting me and stuff, asking me tons of questions, watching Strange Normal, and wow, I've never connected these dots before.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that opens so many doors. I had an AC guy that came over here, and he says, "Oh, wow, you do YouTube?" Because my living room is full of YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
apparently.
it's a studio.
He said, "Well, what do you do it on?" I said, "Aliens, conspiracies." He's like, "Oh, okay." And that's the first time someone has not continued the conversation with me about this after I said that, because usually they're like, "That's exactly what I want to know more about." And I think it was because his truck outside in his logo was a cross. And so I believe he was Christian. And so when I say aliens, of course, Christians are going to be like, "Well, what are you talking about? I want to know any more about that." But it's so relevant. It's so important
funny
that we need to know about this stuff. So what I plan to do is that when he comes back over here to finish his project on my AC that's off, I'm going to explain a little bit more that this is a Christian channel and we talk a little bit more about this stuff because it's very important.
See, that's when you bust out the tracks.
Yes.
You need tracks. Christians speak in leaflets and tracks.
That's right.
That's our native language. That's really cool. There is a really cool situation, conversation that came up at work with a couple of guys who are Christian, and they were just, the conversation got brought up, and it was really cool to see them kind of connect the dots. And even, one of my coworkers was right here bringing up their, like, adding to the conversation, and another coworker was on the ladder, and we're like in the middle of work right now, and we're talking about this thing, and I was able to plug the channel, and they watched it in the documentary. But what was really cool was that one of my coworkers was like, it was really cool to see the dots connect and him starting to quote Bible verses, and things were just coming to his mind, like to his memory, like, oh yeah, like the Revelation and this, and it was just coming out. And I was like, yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah. It's time. Yeah. And people, man, the harvest is ripe. The laborers are few. We need as many people on top of this as much as possible, which is why we have our awesome Discord and the members that are in it.
Yes. If you want to be part of that, join our Patreon, because we really need to spread this message. All the money goes to it doesn't go to my pockets, it doesn't go to Aaron's pockets. It goes only to spread these advertisements, which are on Facebook, YouTube, Google, talking about this deception, how it's going to come. So if you want to be a part of that, please join us on Patreon. You'll become a part of this chat. You become a part of this submission of different things that happen, because I know you guys are finding stuff just as we are. And we want that material because we want to talk about it. We want to spread this message that there is a true deception coming, and you don't have to be deceived.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of Discord, we have some Discord members, Patreon top tier subscribers who are even in the YouTube chat section, who are tearing it up. And one of those are Rocky. Rocky's here with us. So is MC. MC is one of our Discord guys, and they're so awesome. They keep the hype going,
In fact, I
and
think
they
we
keep
should
the
mention those.
information and the research just pouring in. They're so helpful.
I think we should mention who our members are, if I can do that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they've been so crucial in helping us that I think it's very important that we mentioned who they are. Why can't I ever find this thing? It makes it so difficult to find.
That's all right. Thank you, Jonathan Lynch, by the way. He says, good job, guys. Keep it up and don't get discouraged. God is working with your program. Thank you very much. That means a lot. Seriously. That really means a lot.
Members. Here it is. That was hidden. All right. I'm going to mutilate these names. I'm terribly sorry ahead of time, but I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to try to remember. A lot of YouTubers, what they do is they have a little video. They make sure they get the names right, and I'm not going to do that because the program I use doesn't let me. But Austin Hapilini.
I better open my app too.
Ianelli. Naciedo. Let me see this. I'm going to mutilate that. Naciedo del Sol. Man, you guys, you have been fantastic. Reagan, another well-known Patreon member. All these guys. Rocky, Roquue. I love that name. Kalido, Aelder. Eallder. I don't know how to pronounce it, but another fantastic member that has been super helpful in the chat. Simba, and I know there's more than that.
Simbam. I thought that was really interesting that we got a Simba who was our first, right? Simba was our first. And then more recently, we got Simbam. By the way, our latest subscriber, thank you to, that would be Michelle. Isn't that right? Michelle is our latest subscriber. Thank you, Michelle.
I'm
Good
missing
to have you.
a bunch of members here. I know
that's right. They're grayed out, but I can see them all. If you go to general, so in the Discord, if you go to general UAP UFO aliens, then it's right there in our general chat. You click the title.
I don't have access to the Discord on the computer right now because my
that's fine.
Everything else is on the other screen.
Steph G, who is Stephanie Griffin with Stephanie Griffin Ministries. She is a supporter. She is so awesome. She's really fun to work with. I look forward to doing some more stuff on her channel. But thank you so much. Yarik, Yoli. We have Seek First and about the end of the list, Jackie B. Did you already get Jackie? Can't forget about Jackie.
Yeah. I was in Discord. I just realized I was in Discord. That's why I can't see everyone.
Oh.
I got all the members now. Let me
got it.
Michelle, right. Yarrow, MC, Rob, Berthoff, Josh, A. Cohen. I'm not going to say everyone's last name because I don't know if they want their last name said. Valerie, Nia. Heidi, Aaron, of course, you, Aaron. Thank you for your contribution.
My contribution.
Eric, Nicholas, Yolanda, Ke, Stephanie, Tim, Travis, Michael, Charito, a seasonal name. Hey, I saw you in the chat tonight.
Interesting.
Scrammer. Not scammer. When they first came in, I was like, I thought, oh no, it's a scammer. It's Scrammer, Scrammer. Andrea, Tater, Brian, Austin, Colito, Roki, Simba, Jackie, John, and Mark. Thank you so much, guys. That's 31 of you. And we really, really, really appreciate everything you are doing. Not everyone's on the same inside the Discord, which you have to be on a specific level in order to get the Discord. Just have to become that level by choosing that option on a Patreon. But we really do appreciate everyone that's providing a monthly service so that we can spread this message and that the truth gets out there.
Cool.
And with that, I think I think we're done for tonight.
I think that's the show. That was a cool one. That was a really interesting documentary and really interesting conversations, man. I always enjoy talking about this stuff with you.
Absolutely. All right. And everyone, let's have a little prayer before we go. I think that's important.
Great.
Father God, thank you for bringing this to our attention, showing us what is truly happening in this world and that we won't be surprised. Guide and direct us. Help our tongue to speak only truth. And help us to be corrected and take the correction if there is something that we are incorrect about. Be with Mikey as he's doing his work with other people. Help him because he's going through a lot. And we ask that you be with him and guide him and direct him according to your ways. We love you, God, and we look forward to the day where we spend with you in clouds. Amen.
Amen.
Peace out, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.